Hi guys, it's Joe and Jesse from Impala Search. We're here to introduce you to the Impala Invites webinar series. In Series 1, we'll be covering topics that are all things in HR recruitment related. But first of all, a little bit about myself and Jesse. So I'm Joe, I'm 27 and from Manchester. I'm a principal consultant here at Impala Search, and I specialise in software engineering recruitment in Stockholm. Over to you, mate.
My name's Jesse. I'm 25, based in London. I'm a senior consultant here at Impala Search. And I cover the back-end search and specialise in placing Java candidates in Berlin. But that's enough about us. Let's face it, no one really cares too much about what we have to do or what we have to say. So that's why over the next few weeks, we'll be cutting through the noise and speaking to some top companies such as Klarna, N26, Delivery Hero, Spotify, as well as some really interesting and innovative startups growing through high growth at this moment in time. You may not have heard of them, but you probably should have.
Definitely should have heard of some of them. We know over the past few months that I suppose it's all been challenging. There's a virus going around and businesses have been hit in particular in different ways. Right now, I suppose myself and Jesse want to focus on the internal recruitment HR functions because we feel like they get overlooked. We've run this series. We've committed to add insight to internal recruiters and HR teams in a market, as we said, that's now significantly more difficult to work within. Myself and Jesse will be listening and reacting to topics and questions that you want answering. So feel free to give us a shout. We're trying to move away, I think quite difficultly actually at the moment, Jesse, from the traditional recruiter jargon and the stereotypes. So we're not here to talk about recruitment and how amazing we are, although we're pretty amazing. But we simply want to be able to provide value and insight and an open platform for discussion.
Yeah, exactly. I think that firstly, the first series we want to cover is focused purely on HR recruitment and offer some insight there. But there will be subsequent series covering a range of other topics. But the first few episodes, we do have some topics outlined. But as Joe mentioned, obviously, if something does come up and you want us to add value to yourself, please feel free to reach out to either one of us, and we're always open for a chat and to hear your thoughts and what you'd like discussed. But in terms of some hints on the topics that we'll be covering, I think a good place to start is actually sort of getting a job as an internal recruiter. So obviously, there's lots of junior recruiters out there looking for sort of new roles, and it can be difficult to distinguish yourself, especially in times like these when we're in an economic downturn. So I'll be speaking to some very experienced people that worked at smaller companies, larger companies based in Berlin, get some insight and advice from them about how to go about interview processes and about their career path, and sort of hopefully this will sort of provide some positive insight for yourself.
Yeah, I think we kind of take for granted that recruiters know how to get jobs. I think we know how to interview, but maybe not how to interview ourselves. But on that, I suppose once we've got a job, we then feel like we want to discuss how to progress quickly in your internal recruitment career, whether that's dealing with multiple roles and niches that you've got to manage your time more effectively, negotiating different hiring managers in businesses. But we're really going to go into the nitty gritty. So what challenges have people face these hiring managers? We'll try and get some horror stories in there, but keep things anonymous just for a little bit of juice. But it's all about how to progress quickly, how to upskill yourselves, but most importantly, reach that, I suppose, head of HR role, which we know a lot of internal recruiters want to navigate towards.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that's a good point, Joe. And in terms of some other areas and the tools that will get you there, having a bit of insight from tech recruiters that use software in a lot of different ways in order to sort of automate the recruitment process, make their job easier. I know firsthand that there's sort of loads of different methodologies within various softwares that can ultimately make things a lot easier for yourself and make it a lot more effective in sort of finding new top tech talent. So we'll be sort of discussing this as well as the future of software in HR. In HR recruitment and sort of seeing what the outlook for the future is.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the worst things about it is the I suppose software is trying to do myself and you out of a job, Jesse, which isn't great, but we were promoting that during this, definitely. Yeah. From there, though, I think right now on software and I suppose workplaces, remote working's been huge lately, especially with COVID. Yeah. What we're going to try and do, though, is leave COVID out of this and just really focus on the challenges that internal recruiters are facing in, I suppose, attracting talent to businesses, whether that's because of different interview processes, whether it's selling a business culture or the culture within the team and finding that right fit. So we're going to really drill down on, I suppose, the impact remote working has had on getting candidates to join your business and actually say yes to that offer when it does come through. I think Jesse is going to follow up from that with a pretty cool topic around, is it startups and tech unicorns?
Yeah, exactly, Joe. So sort of startups and tech unicorns, both sort of, integral parts of both Berlin and Stockholm's tech scene. So really want to sort of discuss the challenges faced by both. So I'll be speaking with the likes of sort of Spotify, Delivery Hero, Klarna, but also, speaking to tech recruiters in smaller companies and sort of really trying to understand how they can attract the top tech talent when up against these sort of, high profile names, which a lot of developers, want to be part of and work at. So, there'll be, an interesting conversation. I think another area, I'd like to touch on there is maybe the difference between both Stockholm and Berlin and the challenges faced between startups and tech unicorns there, Joe, right?
Yeah, 100%. Probably need some tips ourselves, don't we, at the moment as well, Jesse?
Well, you do anyway, not me.
What we're then going to do, moving on from that, we're going to go a little off piece, with episode just before Christmas, and we're going to add, I suppose, like the 12 insights or invites of Christmas. So we're going to speak, I suppose, a lot with our guest speakers and find out, like I mentioned before, some real positives. So where people have been successes, and we got some nice stories there, but also like the worst interviews they face, what challenges they've had, the best excuse potentially for not turning up to an interview, just to add a little bit of fun to the series. We're then going to hit January hard with a bang. Will be the launch of Series 2. Don't want to give too much of that away right now. It could be a little Christmas present for everyone. But as mentioned, this is all about yourselves and adding value. So if you've got any ideas or insights you want us to cover, please do let us know.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's just the main thing here is just to sort of, keep an eye out on this space. Obviously subscribe to the YouTube channel, keep an eye out on our LinkedIn's and sort of see what's coming up over the next few weeks. As Joe mentioned, series 2, again, open to suggestions as to areas that you want covered. Ultimately, this podcast isn't about mine and Joe's egos. It's actually about yourselves and what, how we can help you and provide value to yourself and your career.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it.